Welcome everyone to Health Coach TV. I'm your host, Dr. Shauna, and we have the amazing Irina Volfman. Hi, Irina.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here.
I am so excited. Look, if you are a burned out, high achieving professional, if you're like, I am exhausted, uh, you definitely want to tune in and listen to this because Irina has been there and done that to the nth degree. You'll hear her powerful story and how everything imploded. We don't want that to happen to you. We want to help you out before you get to that point. So let me give you a proper introduction, Irina. So Irina Volfman is the founder and CEO of Optimum Reach LLC, a holistic wellness coaching service specializing in helping overwhelmed, burned out, stressed out, high achieving professionals, anyone, optimize their health and their reach. She uses a holistic approach encompassing bio-individual nutrition, life coaching, and auricular therapy expertise. So after decades in a successful corporate career, Irina went through her own deep personal transformation. Oh my goodness, wait till you hear this. And she had to go through meticulously working through all of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of her life. And now she loves supporting and guiding her clients in their own meaningful, powerful transformations to help them realize their optimum potential. Irina lives in the greater Philadelphia area. So welcome, Irina.
Thank you so much. And I have to say, go Eagles.
Okay. Well, we have to do that. Well, and Eagles is part of my brand as well, just as an aside, right? So Eagles is very meaningful for me. So we're right here, right on track here. So tell everybody, what exactly is it that you do now, Irina?
Excellent. And again, thank you so much for having me here and for giving me this opportunity to share. What I do is I help overwhelmed, high achieving professionals overcome burnout and mental fatigue, regain energy and clarity of purpose so they can live their optimum life in health, confidence, and joy.
Awesome. So it's, you know, most often health coaches and people who are helping people in this way have their own deep, dark story. And so let's unpack some of that. It's a doozy. So tell us a little bit about what had you get into the line of work. Like, tell us a little bit about your story. What happened?
Well, I was a driven global professional, and from the outside, my life looked perfect because I had a long-term marriage, children, a demanding but very satisfying and successful career. I had a comfortable life. It's basically everything we are taught we need to achieve in order to be happy. But in reality, I was really just an empty shell, and I was just going through the motions. And then my life imploded, massively, death, divorce, and devastation of everything that I knew for decades. And I ran from the pain, I ran from the loss, and I threw myself deeper into my career and really poor food and life choices. And after years of this futile attempts to escape from the pain, I was exhausted. I could run no more. I gained over 50 pounds and I was lethargic and I developed digestive issues. And my doctor essentially advised that I had severe inflammation and I was on the verge of ulcer and I was at risk for cancer. And that really just shook me because I thought life couldn't get any worse. And here I was going from bad to worse. I felt overwhelmed. I felt beaten down. I really felt like I was in the dead end. And I just simply could not see the hope of finding my way to love, happiness, and health and that level of fulfillment. And that's really when I found myself literally on my knees, screaming at the heavens, asking, what had I done that I was being punished so cruelly? And there's a very well-known expression by Tzu Lao that says, Lao Tzu actually, that when a student is ready, the teacher will appear. And my teachers came in the form of coaches. And my journey really required consistent, focused effort, but the transformation was so deep and so profound, and it was so worth it. And I realized essentially that my well-being was way beyond just food and dieting and losing weight, that my relationship with myself my ability to nurture and love and accept myself. And that is myself with a capital S. And opening my mind to holistic healing. All of that was really a big part of the rebirth that I went through. So, truly, now my dearest wish is to enable others to have this amazing metamorphosis, this experience of a shift, so that your heart is filled with love and your soul sings with joy, and you have absolute clarity of your life's purpose. And I know how devastating it is to be suffering such losses one after another. And I am really on a mission to help people, especially those who are overwhelmed, those high achieving divorced women like I was. I want to help them regain energy, confidence, self value, so it can be that renewed purpose. They can find that renewed purpose in their life and live in freedom and in that absolute health and joy.
Yeah. Wow. I think a lot of people, that's very powerful. And a lot of people can relate to your story, being stressed out, throwing yourself into work, gaining weight, and things kind of spiraling out of control. And then, but you got on the other side of it. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that. Let's unpack that a little bit. Tell us a little bit more of the details, because how do you, and there are people out there right now that are burned out and they're just like, I know I'm a walking zombie here, but I got no time. I'm so
Mm.
stressed. To go from here to where I would like to be is like a pipe dream. Like I don't know how. So what was it? Now you had that, moment. I always think of the moment on the bathroom floor, usually on your knees, but you have that moment where you're like, please help me. So what? Tell us a little bit more of the details about what brought you to that point. What was that last straw? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Thank you for asking me about it. Well, it all really started with my mom being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And then just about 3 months after that, I discovered infidelity in my marriage. Then soon thereafter, my child started a transition journey. And then in the few following months, we made a decision to divorce. And then my mom passed. And very soon thereafter, my dad had a nervous breakdown and his cancer returned. And I essentially, found my escapism. I accepted, of all things, a brand new responsibility in my company with global travel requirements. And essentially, in the matter of 9 months, my life looked nothing like it had for decades. And in a handful of years, this whole escapism, the compounded stress of travel, the suppressed grief, the constant time zone changes and the binge eating to numb my feelings and the hyper dating that I was into, all of those were diversions and distractions and just avoidance tactics.
Right.
And then my dad passed away, and eventually I myself ended up in the hospital. And I was told by the doctor, it was just shocking. I remember as if it was yesterday. I was told that I had chronic inflammation, that I was on the verge of an ulcer, and I was at risk for cancer. And the doctor delivered this news. It was so astonishing. And hearing the word cancer with both of my parents having cancer was just a big jolt that really kind of like said, okay, enough. I got to do something about it. But I had no idea where to start. I knew that I needed to change, but I was just completely lost as to what's my next step.
Yeah. Wow. And now, what was some of the things like when you ended up in the hospital? What kind of like symptoms brought you there? What was it? What kind of things was it? Like, was it a
Yeah.
nervous
Yeah.
breakdown, or was it some other kind of health issues? What kind of things led you to be in the hospital?
It was actually digestive. It was actually digestive. I was suffering from constant heartburn. I
Yeah.
was suffering from reflux and from bloating, and I just did not feel well. But, like so many others around me, I would just pop a Tums or take a sip of Pepto and I would just keep on marching. But then again, I came to a point when the doctor said all of that to me because I went to a GI, just, okay, maybe I need to check this out. Maybe, like literally, I thought maybe my body is trying to say something to me. And it's really amazing that I took that step because it was a big pivotal point for me.
And I think really what happened and what that doctor did, we often sort of we're often talking about all the negative aspects of doctor, even though I'm a doctor myself, but that doctor really gave you a gift. So they
Absolutely.
didn't say you had it, but they give you a warning shot. And
Yes.
I bet you there's a ton of people out there with the bloating, with the heartburn, with the all of that, with the reflux, and it's just like, well, I'm stressed, I got gut issues, and it's more like a nuisance, an annoying. It's annoying. My body's doing this, and I got business meetings to do. I have business dinner meetings that I have to go to. I got to travel, and I'm in a hotel, and I got to eat out. And man, I feel sick after I eat. Can't I eat anything? And and so it's more of an annoyance that's trying to, like, you're trying to climb that ladder, and it's just like, come on, body, work. You're trying to muscle
Exactly.
in
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But and maybe if you hadn't lost both your parents to cancer, it might not have, be careful. Smoking causes cancer, kind of thing they say. And they're like, whatever, if it happens, it happens. But it landed because you saw it and you knew it and you knew she wasn't faking. And,
Correct.
and you're like, whoa, I'm getting an opportunity to get out ahead of it. And
Exactly.
I have my own family that, my kids, I want to be there for. I have, I'm not ready to do this, but I have to do something different. So, okay, so that's like the wake up call, which you heard, which, all of those things seem to have been lined up so that you could hear this call, because it was extreme. And maybe if people only had one thing, like a death of a parent, or a divorce, or one of those things, if people had just one thing and they were like, I got stressed, I got heartburn, whoopee doo, not whoopee doo, but there wouldn't be enough to actually go, I gotta do something. But when it all comes crashing down at the same time, it's like you're like backs up against the wall. That's the rock bottom. Like, I gotta do something about this. So there you are, and you're like, I gotta do something about this. What do you do? Like, what pops up? So when the teacher is ready, you said, or when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I often will flip that, because I also know that when the
Yes.
teacher is ready, the student appears, as I'm coaching health coach. But when you're now ready, you're asking the question, what can I do? Share with people. You shared with me something that I think a lot of people can relate to. What was something that popped up that snagged your attention, that had you just go, well?
Yeah. So actually, as I was trying to figure out, like, how do I take that step? What is that first move? Somebody asked me if I practiced self-love. And I'm telling you, Dr. Shauna, I looked like a deer caught in the headlights. And then I literally had to go home and Google the term. And an assessment quiz popped up, and I'm like, okay, let's see what this is all about. And I took the assessment quiz, and guess what? I failed it. I saw that I had zero awareness of what self-love is, how to express it, and why it is so important to the whole healing of ourselves and our bodies. So there was a complimentary call associated with that quiz, and I booked it. And then 3 days later, I was on my journey to the big pivot in my life. And it was not the kind of like, okay, we'll talk once a week or once a month. This was really a very detailed process that I had to commit to. And it was essentially, an opportunity for me to address so many aspects of our self, with the capital S, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And I had to bring up issues and topics and pains and hurts that I felt were long buried and forgotten. And I had to face that pain and those regrets and fears, because they accumulated over the decades of my life. And they were totally reigning supreme over me when I was making those decisive steps to heal myself. So I had to learn to forgive. I had to learn to let things go. And when you're talking about forgiveness, it's not like, I forgive, but forgiveness that is unconditional. Because what we also don't realize is when we hold on to that anger, to that bitterness, to that regret, it is not the other person who's suffering from it. It is us.
Yeah.
It is our well-being that suffers from it. So I had to release the fear, and I had to release the pain, and I had to release the regrets. And in parallel, I also actually started working with a holistic wellness coach. And because I wanted to really understand, what I realized actually is that it wasn't just what I was eating, but it was really like how my culture, how my physiology, coming down to the blood type, how all of that affected and predisposed me to various health risks, as well as really to understand which foods are nurturing and healing and beneficial to me versus those that are causing inflammation and are harmful to my well-being. And the more I was learning and understanding that, the physiological and the mental interaction between the food and my body, the easier it was for me to start making decisions that were loving and nurturing instead of something that was detrimental to me. And even though I was traveling over 50% around the world, I had that knowledge, I had that awareness, and I had those tools and ability to make the right choices for myself. And it was a mind shift because, for example, I used to drink at least 6 cups of coffee per day. But when I had this understanding of how it impacts my body, how it impacts my brain and my physiology, I literally quit overnight and I never regretted it. And it has been years. I don't miss it. I'm not bothered by the aroma of coffees when others drink it because I know that I am making loving and nurturing decisions for my own well-being. And essentially, it was an epiphany, this holistic life coaching journey. It is that brought me to the place of love and happiness and fulfillment, something that I thought was forever lost for me.
Yeah. That is amazing. It's an incredible transformation, 180 from one way of living to another, and the results are dramatic. And in the nick of time too, also. And I love that they said self-love, and you're like, you had to Google what the term self-love meant. I mean, that is classic. Like, a corporate, someone in, corporate. So if you're like self-love, woo woo, do, like, you're like, I noticed a word that comes up for me personally, because people would say uh, later on in my journey, you're someone who is sensitive.
Mm,
I'm not sensitive. I'm tough. Because in my background, as in male dominated career,
mhm. Same
doctor of
here. Yeah.
theology, and I had brothers, no sisters, sons, no daughters. I mean, man up, right? Was my thing. And the last thing you wanted to look was weak, which my brain equated sensitive. Somebody's sensitive, that means weak. But what they meant was I can tune into and assess the situation intuitively. But I remember when people said that, I didn't know what they meant, and I'm like, I'm not sensitive. So it's kind of the same thing with self-love. Self-love, what is that? What's this self-love thing? And so it's kind of so if you're there and you're like self-love, but maybe like when, but on the other hand, probably the people listening, you're smart, and you're like, which results do we want? So which results in business, which results in your health and your family? And so we like great results. And that's why you have that optimum reach. Optimum is part of your brand. And what you help people do is be optimized. And so if the way to that has something to do with this crazy self-love thing, you know, that's where people can lean in, and they don't have to be on. Eventually, that's how you get all your results. And they can do it for other reasons. We'll talk a little bit about that. But this journey that you had, is that what had you go, I gotta help others with this? I gotta be a health coach. I gotta help somehow. I gotta do for others what these people did for me. You took pieces from this person, this person, this person, bring it together, and then you got this amazing result. I'm like, I got to pass the baton and help others now. Is that kind of what had you become a health coach?
Absolutely, 1,000%. Because I clearly recall just a couple of weeks into my own process my friends and family started commenting that I looked different. And it wasn't so much about my weight. It was more about like they were saying about like my being, my energy. Literally, they were saying that there's like a different light around me. And I myself remember how those realizations and feelings were changing and how I was feeling amazing. So, coming from the place of hopelessness and rejection, death, and sheer fear, these shifts in me were so powerful and so hopeful and so energizing. I really wanted to share that opportunity with others, to be filled to brim with the sense of wellness and happiness and joy without having to explain or justify why. So that is why I became a coach. And that's why I got certified in multiple disciplines so that I can offer my clients that clear guidance, that unwavering support, and remedies in nutritional and emotional aspects of coaching. You know, give them an ability to simplify yet empower their own journey and the investment in themselves and their health and in their life.
Yeah, awesome. That's fantastic. So how does that work? How do you actually work with them? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that most clients come to me to lose weight because sadly, in our society, we have a warped sense of beauty and health, and people don't want to feel judged. Actually, according to the Institute of National Health, females report a much higher rate of weight-based stigma than men. So it is common for people to think that, once I lose the weight, I will not be judged so much, I will be accepted more, and I will be happier. So many people get caught up in that yo-yo dieting to lose the weight, and then they actually end up gaining more. So this is like a perpetual cycle of dissatisfaction and stress that leads to hormonal imbalances and to physiological and mental consequences. And therefore, it results in more stress and anxiety and fear, therefore, causing chronic inflammation, ongoing hormonal imbalances. And that results in many people in those digestive system issues that I was experiencing myself when I was running away from my reality. It impairs our cognitive functions and it exacerbates burnout and actually brings on more aggravated chronic health conditions. And also, I recently read that a Harvard Health study estimated that 70% of people, 70% of people are affected by gastritis and reflux and ulcers and other functional gastrointestinal disorders that are specifically a result of stress. So, of course, stress-induced chronic illnesses also include type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular issues, and hypertension, and of course, cancer. So what I do, I walk my clients step by step through a customized, personalized program to help them conquer their specific wellness concerns and reach their desired goals of growth, health, and vitality. I work with them very closely. It is done personally as well as virtually. So the program is accessible to everyone. I actually have clients in North America, in Europe, and in South Asia. And there is a structured support and accountability so that they also know exactly what to do to get to their desired finish line. And most important is we get the results.
Awesome. That is excellent. Sounds lovely. Sounds amazing. So let me ask you this, Irina, as someone who overcame massive burnout as a high achieving global professional, overcame, there was divorce, death, devastation for decades, and just it brought you to the brink, brought you to the hospital room on that day when you're like, whoa, something's got to change. That can't go on. And then deer in the headlights, learn about self-love. You had to Google, what is that word? That's hilarious. What do you think is the missing link when it comes to self-love that people think?
Actually, most people think that self-love is narcissistic. vain and selfish. But I really want to amplify that self-love and self-compassion are crucial to physical and mental health, as well as to our happiness. Because if you can't love yourself, if you cannot accept yourself as you are, you actually have limited capacity to love others and be there for others. So self-love is absolutely critical to being able to overcome burnout, mental fatigue, regain your energy so that you can be your optimum self and reach your optimum potential. Without self-love, really, people are stuck in the same place, sometimes for years. And therefore, it affects not just them, but everyone around them, including their family and dear and loved ones.
Yeah, yeah. And then and if they haven't filled their cup up first, they can't really, but it impacts their life, their career, their family. Yeah. And it can implode as it did for you. and so yeah, it's so powerful. Now you also mentioned that your most of your clients came to you initially for weight loss. So what is something that's important? You know, there's probably people out there struggling with weight loss. What are some important things for people to know if they're trying to lose weight?
Yeah, so first and foremost, most people start with diets, right? Oh, let me try that, let me try this because it worked for her, it worked for him, look at them. But diets really don't work because our bodies react to that calorie deprivation, and bodies come up with countermeasures that include metabolic, hormonal, and neurological changes. And one size does not fit all. Any report, any medical paper that you read, everything is usually based on an average American. Who of us is average?
Yes.
Right? I mean, who wants to be average? So basically, diets don't work because they are meant for an average individual, and diets only focus on food. However, there are multiple physiological and psychological factors which directly influence our relationship with food, our choices, and our body's responses. So we are each bio individual, just like no one in the world has an identical fingerprint. Every body is different. And that is why it is really a personalized and customized approach that I use. And that is the key to guiding and supporting my clients towards their success.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. You know, who is average? And then, but also the flip side is who wants to be average?
Precisely.
We want to be optimized as you teach and coach. So, what are some tips that you can share with viewers who might be suffering with burnout and weight gain and all of this kind of stress, and they might have no time? What are some tips that you can share with them if they wanted to implement them, like right here, right now? Let's get started.
Awesome. Excellent question, because right here, right now, my first and foremost recommendation is going to be cut your sugar. We as Americans, we eat exorbitant amounts of sugar per day. Our each meal should have no more than about 5 grams of sugar, which is a flat teaspoon. But some of the healthy snacks like yogurts and granola bars, they have up to 15 to 20 grams of sugar per serving. That is almost 80% of our daily level. I mean, it is just somebody else was just telling me recently they came across this healthy chocolate drink that had a lot of protein, no hormones, no antibiotics, whatever it was. And then, oh my God, was it like 50 grams of sugar? 50 grams of sugar. And women and kids over 2 should have about 20 to 24 grams,
Wow.
50 grams for a child. So that is really insane. My
One
second, I know
drink.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. My second tip would be water, drinking water, drinking water. Yes, of course, everybody hears that you need to drink 8 to 10 cups of water per day, but not everybody can conquer that just as a starting point. So for starters, I would recommend drinking a glass of water after you brush your teeth, drinking a glass of water before each meal, and you're already at 4 glasses, and then you can build from there. And I also want to go back to self-love because, as I said, self-love is so important to our physical and mental health and to many successes in life. So from self-love perspective, the quick tips that people can begin to implement would be slow breathing. Slow breathing, at least what you can do is count to 5, breathing in through the nose, count to 10, exhaling slowly through the mouth. And that helps actually decrease your sense of stress. So that is the first and foremost, the loving thing you can do for yourself. The second would be to practice gratitude, just to, in a meaningful way, to acknowledge wonderful things that we have in life. You know, the health of your children, the abundance of time that you may have, or the abundance of family love that you may have, or, you know, a lovely pair of shoes that you got on sale. Also, let's be grateful for that. We're human. And I would really encourage people to do what makes them happy. I love to dance. I can literally just turn on some music, or if I hear a song that I love, my shoulders start going, my body starts moving. I love it. So if you can set aside 30 minutes, 2 or 3 times per week, to do what brings you joy, that is absolutely one of the lovely ways to practice self-love. So that would be my quick recommendation and go-to.
I love it. And like, those last one, the belly breathing, the slow belly breathing, the gratitude, and even the drinking water. Imagine somebody, these don't take a lot of time. So imagine somebody who's in their vehicle, stuck in traffic on their commute to or from work or whatever, and they could have a water bottle with them. And instead of fuming internally and getting all stressed and riled up, it doesn't take any time to breathe, and we're doing it anyways, but just be intentional. And it doesn't take any time to think a grateful or appreciation thought. And just right there, it's because a lot of people are like, I don't have time for this. A, you don't have time not to, and B, some of these things that you're sharing aren't time consuming, and sometimes things are, well, all habits are easier said than done at first, but it's not um difficult. Like, you can get started right away, and it changes. And then I think the results and the habits compound over time. So the less you're on the sugar roller coaster, the less you crave sugar. The less coffee you're drinking, the less you crave coffee. The more energy that you have, and you're not getting, wired but tired. So all of these things start to get on a positive momentum. So I love those. Those are really great tips, and they're quick to do. They lower the stress response, which helps you lose weight. It's an act of self-love. It's all of it wrapped up into, a few just genius little tips that people go, oh yeah, I've heard that before, but no, actually do them. It makes a difference. And if it didn't make a difference, fair enough. But awesome. I always love to ask this. Was my favorite question to ask is some of the spin-off benefits that you've seen. So you're helping people with their burnout, and or maybe it's weight loss, whatever they're coming to you initially for, but there's always this positive ripple effect. Share with us some stories of examples of some of the bonus benefits that people have had.
Yeah, that's awesome, because you're so right. You know, when you're working with people and you're trying to help them achieve their goals, and then they come back and they're like, oh, wow, when they have this, like a light going off and kind of saying, I didn't realize that I also get this and this and this and that. So one of my clients, he came to me to lose weight. And after 6 months of working together, he wrote back to me and he says, yeah, he came to me to lose weight, but then he also found that it helped him reduce stress and diminish his anxiety, and he's sleeping better, and he has better awareness of his financial well-being, because his whole relationship with money was askew, and he feels stronger spiritually, and he feels more confident in his relationships, and he's using his emergency asthma inhaler fewer times. So those are all consequences of just, wanting to start with losing weight, but there's so much more to it. Another client of mine, also, the lady came to me to lose weight. She was a widow, and she was just in a relationship with a gentleman where they were looking to blend their adult children families. And she had a lot of anxiety over how everything will fall into place and get along. But through our work together, she lost weight. She was able to improve her knee conditions because she would find herself having to walk 1 foot at a time down the steps to protect her knee. So her knee got healthier. She's able to walk up and down the steps and bend over and tie her shoes. Her back pain is gone. And she actually, we worked through the whole relationship aspect, that whole spiritual, psychological, relating to others and giving grace and space to others. So, and she actually said to me, that she feels physically lighter and emotionally lighter. So that was wonderful to hear. Another lady client that I have, she is of Italian background, so she loves to cook. She expresses her love to her family and friends and dear ones through cooking and hosting. And she came to me to lose weight, and she dropped about 12 pounds or so. But it also improved her arthritis, because she literally called me and she said, wow, I can hold the knife, and I spent the whole day cooking, and she had company coming, and she was just so thrilled about all of those additional benefits. So that is very, very heartwarming when you are able to help people in more ways than just one, but through one process.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, when you decrease inflammation, when you help them love themselves, which is, the before us, yours and mine, would have kind of scoffed at that idea. And I don't have time for that. But it's the key that unlocks everything else, to getting onto the other side of it and getting out of pain and getting your energy back and losing that toxic weight and all of that, and just literally being lighter, as your client said, emotionally, physically and emotionally lighter. So awesome. Well, if there are people here, I've just really enjoyed this conversation with you, Irina. You've got a powerful story. You've been able to alchemize that into a way that you can now help others. And I love that. The work you do is so important. Uh, we need those great professionals doing their work out there, but we don't want them killing themselves over it. And so it has to be a way that's sustainable, and they matter too. They matter too. Their health matters too. And thank you for kind of, you are able to speak their language. You know what it's like to have those demands. You know what it's like to have to travel and be stuck in airports and have only restaurants. And you got ways to help people around that, and be that anyways, get healthier anyways. So if people are like, man, there's something in here that she shared, I really want to talk to her, how can people reach out and connect with you?
I would love to hear from these people, and they can reach me at my website, www.optimumreachlife.com. And there I also offer a free starter kit called Are You in the Mess of Stress? So you can at least assess exactly how severe is your stress level and get a glimpse into how it affects your well-being, your health, emotional, mental, and physical well-being.
I think that's really a good point, because a lot of people, it seems like everybody's stressed. So if you just look around, you might not notice the negative impact. And for most people, they don't notice until it's kind of too late. And so you might not be really appreciating how much impact that has. And like, you had done that quiz, years ago, which was the light bulb moment, like, oh wow, I didn't really even think about any of this stuff.
Because we as a society have normalized the abnormal.
Yes.
So anything that would have been perceived, 15, 20, 25 years ago is like, oh, no, 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 that's not what we want. Now we're like, no, I can sleep less, I can do more, I can eat, junk and processed food, because we made it normal. And I feel I had like you said, it was a big gift that was given to me by the doctor. I had an opportunity to be jolted awake and make these significant changes. And because in my personal experience and experience of other coaches that we know, this is why we are in this profession. This is why we want to give the same opportunity to all these other people who are ready for it, but just don't know what is the next step.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Thank you so much. So Irina's website again is Optimum, OPTIMUM Reach, REACH, life, LIFE.com, optimumreachlife.com. It was so wonderful to have you. Thank you for shining your light, showing up for others, and doing the incredible work that you do. We super appreciate you. And we appreciate all of you for joining in and listening. We really do appreciate it. If you liked it, like and subscribe. More episodes on Health Coach TV. If you have a question for Irina, feel free to pop that in the comments, but definitely reach out to her. And if there is a topic or a subject that you would like to know more about, pop that in the comments too. We are always looking for experts in a variety of health fields. And with that, that's it for this episode of Health Coach TV. And of course, as always, be good for you.